Well, we're seeing it over and over again. As hurricane relief takes center stage, the Biden-Harris administration brushing off any criticism of its response as nothing short of misinformation, even pure fiction.
People want to do disinformation, misinformation, which is dangerous.
And it is the height of irresponsibility and, frankly, callousness.
Yeah.
So lives are literally at stake right now.
It misleads people. It puts people in circumstances where they panic.
I'm going to divorce the disinformation that is being spread from any one individual.
There's a lot of misinformation, and I beseech you, I beg you to please not pay attention to it.
We have a massive misinformation problem, and this is something that actively harms the ability of responders to do their job.
So joining us now is Republican Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. I think one of the issues was that FEMA said that, yes, they can do a $750 initial payment, but there's more to come after that. It's not the only payment that they will get. Is that the kind of misinformation that you're getting? Because in all of these interviews, and I listened to Alejandro Mayorkas this morning on the ABC's podcast, Start Here, he's not very specific about what the misinformation is.
No, Dana. Democrats accuse of something of being misinformation if it reflects poorly on Democrats. That's usually a pretty good working definition. The simple fact of the matter is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democratic governor of North Carolina were overmatched by events here. They were caught flat-footed. Joe Biden was vacationing in Delaware. Kamala Harris was off holding glitzy fundraisers in Hollywood. And they didn't react immediately when it was clear that this hurricane hitting in the Appalachians in northern Georgia and western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee would require a different kind of response than it would in coastal areas, most notably a military response with military helicopters brought in. There's hundreds of them within flying distance of these areas. It took more than a week to get those assets in place. They were still engaged in rescue operations then, not recovery operations. By contrast, during the Haiti earthquake, Barack Obama was able to get military assets within 2 days to Haiti. So Barack Obama got our military to a foreign country to help them much faster than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was able to get it to our own people. Now, they can talk about all the bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo they want, but in a time of crisis, it's presidential leadership that delivers results. That's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris failed to do here.
The left is upset that the Wall Street Journal printed an op-ed from J.D. Vance that you might remember when there was immense outrage at the New York Times because you wrote an op-ed during the George Floyd riots, and it ended up people leaving their jobs over it. But J.D. Vance writes this: Biden-Harris mismanaged Hurricane Helene. A White House that tried to shift FEMA's priorities left the citizens of North Carolina suffering for days. When Alejandro Mayorkas says that they might need more money, I mean, that's kind of common, right, in Congress, that if you have a major natural disaster on top of another major natural disaster, then Congress gets back together and figures out how to replenish those funds. Is that right?
Yeah, so first off, J.D. Vance's op-ed in the Wall Street Journal was excellent. I commend it to your viewers. Again, another example of Democrats calling something misinformation because it reflects poorly on Democrats. Now, FEMA's claim that they need more money, or I should say Secretary Mayorkas' claim that he needs more money, is belied by the facts. They could have asked for more money when we just passed a short-term spending bill last month. Often that comes with requests to move money between one pot or another pot. But I'd also just observe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris always seem to find money for their priorities. When it's using disaster money to bus and house illegal migrants, that's fine. When they need to find hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for gender studies majors, they can find that money too. But they couldn't find the money to get the people of North Carolina and Tennessee and Georgia the help they needed immediately. They were caught flat-footed, and they're still paying for it. And now they're moving into recovery operations. I think it's also very important to point out that the Democratic governor and Secretary of State of North Carolina need to explain how they're going to make sure that everyone affected in Western North Carolina can cast their ballots over the next 4 weeks. North Carolina is voting right now. We need to make sure that all of those citizens who have been hurt by this storm have a right and ability to cast their ballots before or on November 5th.
Senator Tom Cotton, thank you. We will be in touch with you as this other storm is about to hit Florida. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.